Hello everyone, it's great to have you back for another session with me Musaddiq Keswani. Last time we talked about the basics of sustainability, like why it is crucial and how IFRS S1 sets the foundation for all sustainability related financial disclosures. And I hope that you have watched both of our previous lecture and therefore we all are on the same page for today's session. Moving forward, today we are going to understand the next big thing, which is IFRS S2 climate related disclosures. Now, if you have been following the news, you know that climate risk is making the headlines. Like for real, investors, regulators, like everyone is paying attention to climate change. So, it's no surprise that why International Sustainability Standards Board ISSB has issued IFRS S2, a standard dedicated solely to climate related risk and opportunities. This standard is like a magnifying glass, zooming in how climate issues can impact companies' financial health. Before going towards the identification and disclosure of these risks and opportunities, we shall understand how IFRS S2 breaks down these climate related risks into two main categories. Number 1, climate related physical risk, and number 2, climate related transition risk. Let's further discuss these categories to see what they really mean. So, our first type is climate related physical risk. Think of these as immediate and tangible negative effect of the climate change on the entity. IFRS S2 splits it into further two categories, acute risk and chronic risk. You don't need to worry, I will explain both of them to you. So, to understand acute risk, imagine like you own a factory and one day a massive flood hits your factory. It halts your production and causes major damages. This is what acute risks are like. They are caused by specific events which are sudden, costly, unexpected and one-off in nature. Other examples of acute risk can be wildfire, hurricanes and tsunamis. These risks can disrupt supply chains, delay projects and drive up the cost. It's like nature throwing a surprise party which is not of a good kind. The other type of physical risk is chronic risk. These risks arise from the permanent changes in business environment due to climate change. These changes does not occur fortnightly. They occur over the period and have the long-term impact on business environment. Let me give you few examples of such climate changes. These can be rising sea levels or increasing average temperature, poor farming conditions, and now we will link these climate changes with risk arising due to climate changes. For example, for business, there is a risk that a continuous dry weather could mess up the agriculture supply chain, or increasing heat wave might shoot up your cooling cost. See, both of them can result in disruption of operation, increase your cost, and at extreme, due to non-availability of key supplies or increased cost, there is also a risk that business might become non-viable due to continuous losses and ultimately business will crash or become a failure. Overall, these chronic changes can make operation more expensive and unpredictable in long run. And this will also increase your insurance cost due to increased climate risk and unpredictability. So now we have understood the first type of climate related risk, that is physical risk. Now moving forward towards the second type, that is climate related transition risk. These risks arises when business seek transition towards a lower carbon economy. It is like switching from a gasoline powered SUV to an electrical car, and to do that you would need to consider the cost, the nature of technology and what your surrounding will perceive Here is how IFRS S2 categorizes these transition risks. Number 1. Policy and legal aspect. Say your government introduces a carbon tax and suddenly your company's cost will become higher because of the new taxes imposed on its greenhouse gas emissions, and this will hit your profitability hard. Number 2. Technological and market risk. This risk is about adapting to new technologies or changing market demand. Adopting to these can be very expensive and risky at the same time, because changes are always new and challenging, as not everyone can navigate through transition phase smoothly. It can also be the case that your company does not respond to change at all, or your competitors are quicker to adopt greener and cleaner technologies, and you stay behind the market and will ultimately lose your market share. And here we have the last category of transition risk, that is reputational risk. These risks are solely referred to what will people think. Let's say if your company is seen ignorant to climate issues, you might face criticism for consumer, investors, or even activists. To understand it better, imagine your brand taking a hit because you are viewed as not doing your part to save the planet. Alright, let's move forward. Now, the question arises that how does the company figure out which risk and opportunities to disclose? As per IFRS S2, they should apply the same principle of relevance and materiality that we discussed with IFRS S1. If a risk or opportunity is significant enough to impact company's financial health, it needs to be disclosed, as simple as it is. So, now let's move towards the crux of this standard, that is disclosure requirements under IFRS S2. Just like IFRS S1, IFRS S2 uses the four core aspects of disclosure. Number 1, governance. Number 2, strategy. Number 3, risk management. And number 4, metrics and targets. But here is a little twist. It tailors these aspects specifically to climate related issues. Let's discuss them one by one. Governance. In case of IFRS S2, entity shall be reporting that who is overseeing these climate related risks and opportunities. Is there a team or committee that reports directly to the top executive? How often do they meet to discuss these issues? Next, we have strategy. So, as per IFRS S2, entity is required to disclose that how is your company's business strategy is influenced by climate related risk and opportunities. For example, if you are a car manufacturer and due to climate changes and concern about the emission of carbon, whether you are investing in electrical vehicle to keep up with the market demand or not, the entity shall disclose that how its strategy fits into its overall business plan. After strategy, next we have risk management. This covers how you identify, assess and manage the climate related risk. For example, whether a company is using scenario analysis to see how different climate outcomes could impact the company's business. What data are you relying on for these assessment? And in last, we have metrics and targets. This is where you show your work, like what are your climate related targets, how much you are investing in renewable energy, how are you tracking your progress towards reducing the carbon footprint. It is like a report card for your climate efforts. Let's also touch on a couple of critical and connected areas related to IFRS S2. First, we have greenhouse gas emissions. When you are reporting about carbon emission, you should break them down into three scopes: scope 1, 2 and 3. So, let's understand how emissions are broken down into three scopes. Scope 1, These are direct greenhouse gas emission from the sources that are owned or controlled by the company. Scope 2. These are indirect greenhouse gas emission from purchased energy including electricity, steam, heating and cooling. Scope 3. These are other indirect greenhouse gas emissions not covered in Scope 2 and they occur from the value chain of the reporting entity. These are often more challenging to measure and manage due to their extensive and varied sources. An entity shall bifurcate greenhouse gas emission into these three scopes in its sustainability disclosures. Next, we have observed that S1 and S2 have some common areas as both of them are sustainability standards with identical disclosure criteria across the four aspects of governance, strategy, risk management and metrics and targets. So let us quickly discuss the interconnectivity of IFRS S1 and S2. See my friends, these standards aren't meant to work in the isolation. They are like two pieces of puzzle that fits together to create a complete picture of sustainability and climate related reporting. The goal is to integrate the disclosure wherever possible so that there is no repetition of information and provide a clear and comprehensive report. It is all about clarity while maintaining the efficiency at the same time. And that's it for today, my friends. We have unpacked IFRS S2, explored that how it focuses on climate related disclosure and also connected it back to the broader area of IFRS S1 framework. In our next lecture, we will discuss about sustainability standards and how they shape corporate reporting even further. Until then, keep applying the knowledge of these standards to the real world. Thanks for joining and I will see you in the next session. Take care.